Hey guys, how's it going? This is going to be my video on how you install the Opt 7 Triple LED taillight bar on your truck. This is by far my favorite mod, if you want to call it that I've done in my truck as well as other people's trucks. It's A, super affordable, and B, it looks awesome when it's finished. What it is it's a taillight bar that has three different sets of lights. The top is for your turn signals, the middle is your brake light, and the bottom is a solid white beam that goes on when you throw your truck in reverse. This is going to be fairly simple to hook up, doesn't really take tools or anything like that. What you get in the box is you obviously get the bar. It connects using your standard 4-pin for trailering, as well as you have this white wire, which is what actually powers the reverse light. The other things they give you is this extension wire if you were going to hardwire it in. They give you some pieces for splicing into wires, which we're not going to do. These are metal clamps, which were, I suppose, if you didn't want to use the 3M sticky tape, you could screw those into your truck, but I don't see any reason to, as I put one of these on my truck over a year ago, and I have not seen the sticky tape giving any indication of giving out. And if it were to ever give out, it's very simple to just get a new roll, put it on, and re-stick it on the truck. They also give you this adhesive booster. Now, the two other things you're going to need to do this is this wiring adapter, which is from Kurt. I will put the links to all this stuff in the description. And then there's also this adapter from Redline, which is the brand that makes the taillight bar. And this, I believe, tricks your truck so that it doesn't think you're actually towing something, because some trucks, I guess, would automatically detect that, oh, a trailer lights have been plugged in, but this obviously isn't a trailer, so we don't need the truck thinking that and running in tow haul mode all the time. This is an adapter which you're going to use on the back of this 7 and 4 pin. It goes up behind your bumper so that you can tuck all the wiring away and nobody will see it. Instead of running the wire down and out down here and then plugging it on the back, which would essentially claim your 4 pin for the bar, and if you were to tow a trailer, you'd have to unplug it. This creates a second 4 pin which can be tucked up under the bumper, and it makes it a lot cleaner because you won't see any of the wiring. So something that I'm also going to run through with you guys today is how I go about hooking up the reverse light. And I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube before I bought these and installed them, and most guys tap into the reverse light on your taillight. But that is not necessary. And if you're like me and you don't like messing with anything factory that could potentially void your warranty or something crazy like that, I figured out a way to do this without tapping into your brake light. And what you do is the middle pin on your factory 7 pins. Now, I have found this true on now Toyotas, GMCs, Chevys, as well as Fords. I haven't done a Ram, but I would assume that they're all the same, but always check it before you do anything. The middle pin on a 7 pin is actually for backup lamps. So what you can do is with this adapter, because it's basically a 7 pin, the middle wire is your backup lamp. So what you do is you splice into that and you solder your reverse wire onto that, and then you haven't touched a single thing that's factory. And if you ever had to take this all off, nobody would ever know it was there. So that's why we have the soldering iron, and you're going to need some acetone or brake clean or something like that just to clean off the space where this is going to go on the bumper. So the first step to installing this is going to be, you have to remove the tailgate. And in order to remove your tailgate, depending on what things you have in your truck, if you have a backup camera or if it automatically locks, there's going to definitely be some wires you have to unclip. So on this 2014 Toyota Tundra, I have a backup camera. So this is going to be the wire that actually goes to the backup camera. So we're going to have to crawl up underneath the truck, disconnect that so that when we take the tailgate off, we obviously don't rip the wire off. So I'm going to show you guys where that is, and then we will get to installing this. Something else that's important to note is before you actually do take the tailgate off, it's nice to put the bar into place and just hold it in place so that you can kind of get a feel and an idea of where you want to set this, because when the tailgate's off, it's going to look a whole lot bigger than it does now. So what I like to do is just kind of hold it up there and maybe make a Sharpie mark or something so that you know, okay, this is roughly where I want to put the bar. And that's how we'll go about doing that. So I'm going to show you guys what you have to unhook under the truck. We'll take the tailgate off, and then we'll get to actually installing the bar. So this is underneath of the truck, and we are looking for the reverse camera wiring. So as you can see, the white wire from the top, you can see that is what actually goes out into the tailgate. And we're going to disconnect that, as well as there's this little black plastic piece holding the wire in place. and we're gonna have to pop that out carefully before we remove the tailgate. So I'm gonna take care of that, and then I'll show you how you get the tailgate off. So once you've gone underneath the truck and disconnected all the wiring on this truck, it's just the backup camera, but if you did have other wires, you wanna make sure they're all disconnected. The next thing you're gonna need to do is you need to take off these two cables to get your tailgate off. I don't know, many people, or some people I know at least, seem to think it's really difficult to get a tailgate off, but I'm gonna show you that it's actually super easy, and it's nowhere near as complicated as people think. So what you're gonna wanna do to take these off is you're gonna need to lift the tailgate up a little bit. And then if you look at it very closely, you can see there's a little middle tab, and you lift it up, and that comes off super easy. And then same thing applies on this side. And once you have those two cables off, now you don't want to drop the tailgate because it would just go all the way down and rest on the actual bumper. So I'm going to throw you guys in the tripod, and I'll show you how you actually go about taking this off. But before you do the cables, what I did was I threw a little WD-40 on these two spots here where you can see that's how the tailgate actually attaches to the truck. And that'll help loosen it up if it's stuck, because this tailgate, to the best of my knowledge, has never been taken off. So once those cables are off, you're going to need to lift the tailgate up about 3/4 of the way probably. All trucks are a little different, but you're going to want to take the passenger side and just pull out, and that will release the tailgate off the one side. And then you want to grab the whole thing, slide it over, and your tailgate is off. So now that we have the tailgate off, the next step is going to be getting this back bumper area cleaned up so that this thing can adhere as well as possible. What we're going to do is just a little bit of acetone on a cloth or brake clean or whatever you want to do. Just make sure you get it as clean as possible. That way when you stick the bar on, nothing goes wrong. So as you guys can see, we now have the bar stuck on the back of the truck, and what you're going to want to do with the wires that come off is you're going to want to just feed them down and through here, and then once we get underneath of the truck, you'll be able to figure out where you're going to run them. But what I'm going to need to do now is we're going to work on the actual tail light bar reverse light part of the install, which is going to be soldering that wire onto the middle piece of this. So there's two ways you could do it, I suppose. You could cut the wire in half and solder it here once, connect it, and then have to re-solder it again. Or if you kind of measure out the distance as best you can, if there's a little bit extra, it's not a big deal. You can roll it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crawl underneath there, measure out roughly the distance that this white wire needs to go down here and to the back portion of this, give myself a little bit extra slack because we can roll it up, cut it, and I'm going to solder it outside the truck. That way it's a lot easier than soldering down there on your back and above your head. So before we start soldering, something that I forgot to mention is, as you can see here, here's where the wires drop down. Now you're going to want to pre-snake this white wire before you go and solder it, because obviously if you solder it, you're not going to be able to fit that whole adapter through here. So instead of having the wire run down this way, there's a gap here and in here. So what I'm going to do is I want to just tuck this wire up here and back behind there and over to this, and then I'll drop it down from here and solder it outside the truck. So once we have gotten all that hooked up, what you're going to want to do is you need to free up a section of this middle wire, which corresponds to the middle pin, which is for the backup lights. So you're going to want to make sure you just get a section of that wire cleared off so that we can attach the reverse light wire to it. We'll solder it on, and then we'll electric tape it up really good because we can't get any heat shrink onto this, unfortunately. So as you guys can see, this is now soldered up to this. All I'm going to do is electric tape it up, and then we're going to get under there and connect this in together. Okay, so as you guys can see, I've already actually disconnected this. This is the back of the wiring harness area. So what we're going to need to do now is we need to take our new adapter, which we've soldered to. We have to hook up one end to the factory location and make sure that it clips on there good. And then you need to take the other end and you need to connect it to the end of the adapter. And same thing, make sure that it's connected on there nice and snug. So once you know that those connections are good and you hear the clicks, let's double check and give it a little pull. Make sure that's on there good. Now what we're going to want to do is this is the end of the additional 4-pin we've created. We're going to want to re-snake this back behind the bumper where we have the white wire running already. So do that. This way all the wiring can pop out in the same place, and we can then get that additional box we have to put in over on the side. So once you have snaked the wires, you're going to want to plug in the adapter that you ordered to both sides of this, and then you're going to be good for a test. So as you can see, when I unlock this truck, the blinkers go and it activates the back of the bar, so we know the bar is working. What you can also do is you can get in your truck without starting it. You can turn the key on, flip on the headlights, and the back bar will light up solid red, and if you want to, while the ignition's off, throw it in reverse and you'll see the solid white feature. So all we're going to be doing now is I'm going to tape these up with electric tape, these connections, just hopefully to let less water get in there, if not any water get in there. Then I'm going to wind this all up nicely, zip tie it up in the corner of this bumper, and I will show you when that's all done. Throw the tailgate back on and you're good to go. So once this is all wrapped up, like I said, I'll show you guys the wiring, and then I'll put the tailgate back on and I'll show you what the finished product looks like. All right, so just to wrap up all the wiring, as you can see, our adapter is connected. We have our reverse light soldered into the middle pin, and then this is the rest of the wiring all coiled up as best as I can, and zip tied up in the back corner of the bumper. So that is all done. We're gonna throw the tailgate back on and that will be it. All right, so as you guys can see, this is the taillight bar installed. So that's brake lights, then you have your turn signals, and then the best feature is the backup light, in my opinion. And there you go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you got any questions, please feel free to comment, and I'll try my best to respond. Thanks.